Hey, everybody, and welcome back to What Are You Watching This Week? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Riley Shutt, and I'm here with
Nate Lawson.
The not special guest star anymore, Mrs. Lawson.
Welcome as a regular and the future Hall of Famer. Man, it's great to see everybody today, isn't it? Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I forgot it was Friday. Time is a construct. Quarantine's destroyed my sense of everything.
Right? I mean, it's hard to believe.
I thought it was Saturday.
Really? It's hard to believe
I-
we're halfway through a school year. So
I'm just
Yeah.
walking through the motions at this point.
Yeah, we're 10 months into this, quarantine that was gonna, be a 2-week shutdown, and now here we are,
Ooh.
10 months.
First case of COVID. This week was the 1-year anniversary. It was yesterday.
it wasn't it somebody out in Seattle, Washington,
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, I think it started in Seattle.
that came back
1-year
from,
anniversary of COVID in the U.S.
came back from Wuhan. Before we get started, we're apolitical on this show. We don't know political, but I will say how many people are disappointed that Joe Exotic did not get a partner.
And I was waiting
Yeah.
for Tiger King season 2, man. Tiger King
Right.
season 2.
It was gonna be.
Yep. Right?
Yeah.
We needed more Tiger King.
I'm now realizing that I've never actually watched Tiger King all the way through, so I'm gonna add that to my list real quick.
Oh,
Oh,
I just watched
did.
bits and pieces
I
with
watched-
you.
I watched Tiger King before everybody knew about it. As
So-
soon as I saw it, I was scrolling through Netflix. I want to watch while I'm, waiting for my room to dry because I'm painting my room at that point. And I'm like, oh, Tiger King, that looks interesting. And then all of a sudden, it's blowing up all over social media. So
Yeah. So Tiger King is a great case for crowdsourcing. If we weren't all locked down in quarantine, I probably wouldn't have watched Tiger King.
I wouldn't have watched it.
No.
It's
You have to
something
be-
I would've
Would've.
gone over.
Well, you have to
I
be more
would've.
selective, right? Because you just don't have the amount of, we have a lot of time right now, unfortunately, but I don't have that kind of time to waste on a show like Tiger King.
Exactly. And I was, a couple of group chats that I was in, 10, 12 people in these group texts. And I finally had to watch Tiger King because they were all talking about it and I had no idea what they're talking about. So
Yeah, we wouldn't normally have time. Instead, waste your time watching shows like Glee or Grey's Anatomy.
Gotta be
I
picky.
probably
The
rewatched
real
Grey's
treasures
Anatomy,
of life.
3 times during quarantine. I probably watched Grey's Anatomy 3 times.
Oh, no kidding. That's funny. Right, Riley Shy, you want to start us out? I got a trailer for you too. So
Yep. So I'm going to start us out with an anime movie, not a show this time. And it's called A Silent Voice. And I'll play the trailer and explain what's going on.
all right. Here we go. Wow, okay.
So
I mean,
this
I have to
is,
say,
of
not what
course,
I
it's an
expected.
anime. So yeah. So of course this is an anime, so it is based off of, most animes are based off of manga, which is basically a comic book type thing. It's a original Japanese art. Um, so this anime is not only based off of a manga, that manga is based off of a true story. So this is a true story of a deaf girl. She came to a new school. She had no, all new. She's only deaf girl in this class, and she's bullied. Bullied to the point where she has to leave the school. And this one kid that did the most bullying felt so bad, and he went back and made his redemption with her. I will say I've not watched the ending of this. I only have watched the first half or so because I tend to watch things at night and then I fall asleep, and have not had the time to go back and finish it. But it is, I've heard my friends talk about it. It's an amazing movie that they say, and I love the beginning, and I'm honestly obsessed with this movie so far.
Just gonna say there was no dialogue in the trailer. Is that true for the movie?
No, there is dialogue in the movie. Just if you want to listen in English, make sure you turn it to a dub. If you want to listen to it in Japanese and just read subtitles, turn it to a sub.
Wow, great choice.
Where do
I
you
will-
view something like that?
This is on Netflix. Yep, this
Is it-
one's on Netflix. Anime is across. You can watch anime. Netflix has a lot of anime movies and TV shows, and they have a great selection of them. But you can also go to Hulu, and they have a great selection. You can go to Funimation or Crunchyroll. Those are like the main four I watch them on, but you can also watch them on Amazon Prime.
I will say that you guys have, that was a great choice, Riley, first, but secondly, you guys have convinced me to watch shows with the subtitles on. I'm
How's it?
officially,
Good.
I'm officially,
Good.
watching with subtitles.
How's that
Good.
going for you?
Now watch Game of Thrones with it.
It's actually, I, as much as this pains me to admit that you guys were right, it's actually better.
Yeah.
It really is. I find myself reading it just because.
Right.
Isn't that weird? Is that weird?
I feel like it's so multi-sensory. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You take in more than you would if you're just watching.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
See, I'm like, I love subtitles for the partially the reason of I am the type of person, if I'm reading a book, I like to hear it and read it. Like I have to listen to the audio and read at the same time for me to completely understand it. So TV shows are the same. Like reading it and listening to it most of the time is perfect for me.
That's awesome. Mrs. Lawson, did you want to come up next? Did you wanted to? talk
Yeah,
about-
I think I could follow it up kind of almost a little bit in the same theme. For my theater class, we actually just finished recording a 2-episode series on The Greatest Showman. So we just watched The Greatest Showman. So let's play that.
And I had your attention. You're all dismissed.
Bankrupt.
Better luck with your next job.
I am not a stranger to the dark.
This is not the life I promised you. Not even close.
Cause we don't want your broken parts.
Girls, I think I've had an idea.
Look out, cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum.
P.T. Barnum, at your service.
To be seen.
I'm putting together a show,
No apologies.
and I need a star. Every one of us is special.
And nobody is like anyone else.
That's the point of my show. Ready? Showtime. like everyone else.
This is me.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Really?
No,
I'm,
never
you
seen
know,
it.
it's, I think it's 4 years old now, but, you know, I think we talked about this in our show. That trailer does not do that movie justice. That movie is a
Mhm.
million times better than that trailer right there. So if the trailer has you, you are in for a huge surprise. You know, but it follows that the movie, of course, is loosely based on P.T. Barnum's life, but it's really about acceptance. It's really about redemption. It's about accepting people for who they are, recognizing that everyone has value. And it is that the song that's played in there, "This Is Me," you know, is the anthem of that song. I don't know if you remember, but Mr. Teleska and I had a competition, a karaoke competition a few years ago, and this was the song I did with some now sophomores. I think we did this song.
Is that a Katy Perry song? Is that what that is?
No, no, it is not. That's help me, Nate. We just talked about her.
Kiala Settle. Kiala
Kia-
Settle is the main performer in that.
Yeah, and she was a Broadway performer. So great movie. If you are feeling just a little bit down in the dumps and you need some motivation to get up and get moving, this movie will get you
Okay.
going.
But
Okay.
star cast.
I will say that I went during quarantine, when quarantine was going on, we were stuck at home, school shut down. My Wi-Fi went out for a week, and I have the DVD of this movie. I played this movie on repeat because I was like, I needed something to like keep me going, keep me moving, doing something like the music in that movie and just listening to the movie in general, not even paying attention to what's going on the screen. It just made my day go along faster and better than it was.
A different kind of role for Hugh Jackman, but it looks like it works.
Yeah, well, you
It's
know,
actually not.
it's not. A lot of people don't realize, you know, he's performed on Broadway. He was a star in Les Mis. He actually it's an amazing singing voice, and he's great
Really?
in these.
Triple
Yeah,
threat.
I
Singer,
just know him
actor,
as like
dancer.
Wolverine, right? I mean, that's all I kind of.
and he does these from time to time to remind people that he's not that one dimensional. But you know, I think we talked about it. He became famous originally in Australia for his performance in the play or in the Broadway show Oklahoma.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Australian, Oklahoma. Which surprisingly, Oklahoma isn't that different from the Bush Australia.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
think about it.
So the trailer was great. That was a great show. I'll jump in here next. I'm going to go old school for us real quick. And my old school is going to be, if you're looking for I had two that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about NCIS because there's 17 seasons. It's a great watch if you're looking for something stable to watch. But I also thought about The Sopranos, to be honest with you.
We rewatched that when quarantine first started.
I wasn't.
I've never watched Sopranos.
Excellent.
I had just added NCIS to my list recently because people keep saying I'm like Reed.
Fair winds and following seas, ma'am.
Maybe it's like falling in love. It can happen.
I was looking into his eyes, and they looked kind. I'm not just a killer anymore. I'm an investigator. And now I have all this evidence, forensics, the thing that I love.
My background is biomedical engineering, computer forensics.
You don't know what my personal feelings are.
I think you should be careful.
Semper Fi.
Life is too short to not tell someone you love them if you do. How many more lives are going to be ruined before
before we bring that monster in.
If you hadn't quit, maybe you're the one that stops them.
All right, I am gonna, because I don't want any spoiler alerts. Obviously, that's a trailer from the beginning of the show. Many of those characters have changed.
Yep.
And it was interesting to see the older characters. I think I prefer
Some of
the
those
older
characters have
characters.
left.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw at least 4 that are no longer on the show.
And I think that's about the point when
Um,
I stopped watching. You know, when you start to lose those characters, how much longer can a show go on?
I know.
As
And
to
you've got,
Glee, not very
So-
long.
Yeah. So I will say I've been watching NCIS since I was little. It's my grandparents' favorite show. I grew up watching it. It's like a family thing. I love watching it. I grew up, every new episode we were sitting in the living room, with my grandparents watching it. I loved it. And right up until, I can't remember her name, but it was the science investigator girl. Like she ran all the fingerprints and did that thing. I can't remember her name. When she
Abby,
left,
right?
we
was
all
Abby,
were
I
like
think.
bummed
Abby.
and stuff. Yeah, Abby.
Spoilers.
We were bummed. Like she was one of our favorites. And
yeah, spoiler
well,
alert.
everybody knows she's left. It was all over social media and everything.
I didn't.
But when anybody that knows of NCIS, they know that she pretty much left. Like everybody was so mad about it. But I think once she left, it was like we were done. We couldn't take it. But I will say my favorite 2 characters have to be Gib and Ducky. I love both of them, and I would not, if I go back and watching that trailer, it doesn't give the show justice in my opinion.
So if you've been living under a rock and not seen NCIS at some point, it's a great watch. Even if you just watch the first 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Before that Abby, that was Paula Collette, wasn't that her name? Something
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
yes.
NCIS or Criminal Minds? Which one is Reed? Because people keep telling me to watch whatever that is. Because
Criminal Minds.
Okay, then I'm
Criminal
in.
Minds.
Which I
Uh,
actually think is the better show.
Okay.
I think Criminal
I've never
Minds is
watched
the better
Criminal
show.
Minds.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then I was wrong
I
about my
like
read.
I like Criminal Minds. But yeah, Criminal Minds is probably better, and there's several seasons of that as well.
They're both
I've
good
yet
shows.
to watch Criminal Minds. It is on my list.
What
Yeah,
was
it's
the
on my
old-
list too.
What was the show set in Las Vegas with Gil Grisham? The series, and then it branched off into New
Oh,
York.
CSI.
CSI.
Yeah,
CS
another
There
good
is-
show from that. I feel like they all came out in the same era. That
Yeah,
CSI.
CSI Las Vegas, and then there was CSI New York that had Gary
Right.
Sinise in it.
Cop dramas.
There was an NCIS Las Vegas or something too.
And isn't there an
There
NCIS?
was
of
an
New Orleans?
NCIS spinoff too.
Yeah, there's been a couple.
Oh,
spin-offs.
is it New Orleans? I can't remember which one there was.
Do
It is.
those work? Like I watch CSI, watch
I
NCIS,
don't like them.
but I don't really watch the spin-offs. Do spin-offs work? Like Grey's Anatomy spin-off didn't work.
No, I tried Private Practice, couldn't. Like I
I
haven't
love-
watched the Once Upon a Time spinoff.
So I will say for Grey's Anatomy, I cannot watch Private Practice. I have watched the B Team spinoff. That was pretty good. There's only like 6 episodes of the B Team spinoff for Grey's Anatomy, and I love Station 19 spinoff. Though, like Private Practice did not hit it. The other 2 are fairly good. For NCIS and CIS, I can't get into their spinoffs. I don't like them. I like the original people. I like the original show. I don't like their spinoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Cora
I like
worked
the
for
original
Avatar.
shows. Well, because there's something about the original
Yes,
shows you
Cora
identify with,
loved
identify with the
Avatar.
character. You identify with the characters, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah.
I mean, identify is the wrong word, but you
Mhm.
you bond with them, you like them, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like a cookie cutter. They're trying to, just cookie cutter these shows, and then we're just gonna put in a couple new characters, and then it's gonna be the same success. I just don't think that works.
Well, and
Mhm.
that may be irrelevant. The spinoff may be irrelevant now in today's world, because think about when these spinoffs came out, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu were not as popular. They were not doing original shows.
Right.
And now, I think you're right. Spinoffs, kind of really, really so 1990s.
Like Stranger Things did an episode like preparing a spinoff, and that episode is the worst episode ever.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Well, you're up next, Nate. Did you have
Okay,
a
well-
trailer, or you just want to talk? about it?
No, I only have shows, so I don't have a
Yep.
trailer.
Go ahead.
Now, at the risk of sounding even more like a nerd, I figured since I've already talked about 2 of the 3 Star Wars shows, The Mandalorian and Star Wars The Clone Wars, I talk about the 3rd and final one that's out, which is Star Wars Rebels. Like the Clone Wars set up what happens in episode 3. The Rebels sets up what happens in episode 4. It shows you how episode 4 happens. Like, it shows the starts of the rebellion. And if you watch The Mandalorian and we're like, who's Ahsoka? Who's this woman? Who's this weird Jedi woman? That's also a good show to watch her from. She's from the Clone Wars. Then she was dead in the Rebels. Then she got resurrected. And then now she's in Mandalorian. It's great to watch. If you watch the Clone Wars, there's returning characters, and if you know Star Wars, Rogue One or Episode 4, there's characters from there too.
So we got our weekly dose of Star Wars in.
You
Next
have
week
no
I'll start
idea.
talking about the movies.
It is
Oh, God.
non-stop Star Wars in our house right now, just non-stop.
Yesterday I
say-
watched 2 Star Wars movies.
When the original Star Wars movie, R2-D2, Chewbacca, Han Solo, Princess Leia, the original one, what was
A
Fisher?
New
was-
Hope, Episode 4.
What's that?
Episode 4.
Episode 4, A New Hope.
A New Hope. I went to the original Star Wars movie when it was in theaters. That had to be in the 70s.
Yeah.
It had to be early 70s that
Yeah.
came out.
One of these times I should bring up, like, I own a lightsaber from
Yeah,
many years ago. I should just bring it up and say, it's time, and light it up.
I will say that Star Wars movie, I can remember as a kid, walking out of that movie, running down the street, and throwing my arms up. I thought I could conquer the world.
77, that was released.
Is that what it was? 77?
Yeah.
77.
I knew it was
I,
in
can
I
tell.
asked Nate last night when we were watching, A New Hope. Do you know who they originally were going to cast as Luke Skywalker or as Han Solo?
No.
They originally asked Christopher Reeve to play that part,
Oh, no kidding.
and he turned it down because he was doing or had done Superman.
Superman, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Interesting. Well, do we want to go each go one more round?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Riley Shot. You start.
I have like 2 more shows I want to talk about today, but one of them is Atypical. It is a show on a kid on the spectrum. It's an autistic kid in his life of being in high school and him eventually going to college. They're coming out soon, I think, with their last season, which is going to be season 4. And I love the show. I have gotten my mom into the show, who doesn't really like to watch TV all that often. It's a great show to show acceptance and show that, who cares? You're all people. It shows this kid going through he has a job. He has, he's going into a great educational college for himself, and he has an obsession with penguins. But it's a great show to show how people are and how people act around them.
Atypical.
It's on
Well,
Netflix.
You had another one? You said you had another one. What's your other one?
My other one is another anime. I just recently started watching this. It's My Hero Academia. Very good show so far. I've about 6 episodes into it. My friends are all obsessed with it, but it's a show on this kid. He doesn't have this quirk or his power. and he wants to be a hero like the 80% of the population is. But he's struggling to do so.
You are becoming our resident anime expert, aren't you?
We call them weebs.
Not
is
really.
Is that what the social media term is?
Yeah.
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 Do I even want to know what weeb stands for?
I'm not sure it stands for anything.
Oh, it's just a
I
thing.
don't know what it stands for. You can call me a weeb. I have a Death Note manga sitting over there on my desk. So
Mr.
I
Slauson,
opened
did
my
you-
TV to look at my list for this episode, and you know what
Yes.
popped up when I turned on the TV? The credits to Star Wars: A New Hope.
So for the next show, I expect like the Star Wars insignia behind you.
I have a Chewbacca mask
Yeah,
that I got for a birthday a few years ago.
yeah.
And it makes no. It doesn't fit my head anymore. I got it when I was a kid, and it makes noises.
Wow. Mrs.
Yeah.
Lawson, were you part of that gift? I'm just saying.
I was, but you remember he was 11.
Yeah.
He's 16 now. So, you know,
You made a
Uh,
mistake.
yeah. Apparently. Yeah.
Mrs. Lawson, did you have another show?
So I didn't have a show. I've been rewatching a lot of movies. So I rewatched Great Showman, but I just rewatched with Mr. Slauson, The Butler. It's an older movie, 2013. Has Forrest Whitaker, Oprah Winfrey, Robin Williams, a lot of famous names, but it's based on a true story of Eugene Allen, who was a African American growing up in the 1920s in the South, and his father is killed because of just the way society was and racism, and he finds his way being trained as a house servant, but he runs away because he fears that the same person who killed his father is going to kill him. He runs away. He gets hired in Washington by a fancy hotel, and he learns, the art of being a butler. And then he gets the phone call to be a White House butler. And it starts, again, this is all loosely based on this man's life, real life. And he is the butler to 8 presidents, starting with Eisenhower and ending with Reagan. And it shows the civil rights movements that are happening throughout his life with his children, with the presidents that are in office. And it ends with him, and this really did happen, being able to meet Barack Obama in the White House. It's very great. It's a heavy movie. And just full of history. So it was a rewatch for me. And sometimes you watch those movies, you forget about them. So great movie.
That sounds awesome. I've heard of it, but never saw it. I have it on my list.
Yeah, The Butler.
I wanted to talk about one more that I haven't seen that you guys have. So I'm just going to mention it and let you guys. Lucifer was the one that I was on my list. But I have not seen it. Encouraged. What do you think?
I have not
Loved
seen it
it.
either.
I'd love to tell you
Binged it.
I'd love to tell you I watched the whole thing, but mother couldn't resist watching it without me. So
It's
You
true.
cheated on him?
I did.
yeah, that's what we call it. Cheating. She's cheated on me with How I Met Your Mother recently too.
It's
8 episodes.
it's so difficult because when there's 3 of you in the house and we have such varying tastes. Nathan and I like a lot of the same things. Jeremy and I like a lot of the same things, but it's hard to find shows that all 3 of us don't want to watch. So if Nathan's not around, what did we watch? It becomes
Not
difficult.
How I Met Your Mother.
So he told us to find our own show, and we did. We watched The Queen's Gambit, but that was only 6 episodes. So it's hard sometimes when you're living in a house to find a show to watch without, and anytime I start a new show, I get yelled at. So
She tried to start we mentioned the show. It's good. It's a good segue. She tried to start the newest season of The 100 without me, and I yelled from downstairs, "Don't you dare!" So
Wow,
that's a
we
good
talked
one.
about the 100. That's
Yeah.
a good show.
Right.
Update. New season just came out like this week.
On Netflix?
Yes.
No way. Is that like season 6?
6, I believe.
Wow. All right. I did not know that.
Yeah, but Lucifer is one of those shows. It's great. I love that kind of a show. Or always have them. You know, anything religion based. It always fascinates me, the mythology and the stories behind it. And so Lucifer has got some of that loosely, obviously, but I think it's a great show. I really do like it. It's got a little bit of cheese factor to it, but I don't know. It's a guilty pleasure show.
So I think, unless Nate, you had another one you want to talk about?
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw this out here. We talked about it last year, but this is a show that everyone's heard of. A lot of people have watched, and it's worth a go. At least the first season, Glee. This show is so funny in all the best and worst ways. It is the cringiest yet best thing you'll ever watch. Jane Lynch it has a pretty big cast with like very famous guest stars. You see Gwyneth Paltrow, you see
Britney
Neil
Spears.
Patrick Harris. Yeah, you
Yep.
see Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, Jonathan Groff. That's half the cast of Frozen.
Right.
But it's great. The music is great. It covers a wide variety. Just so you know, we all hate Will Schuester. All my homies hate Will Schuester.
I love Will Schuester.
You're,
I
do not
love
like
Will
Will.
Schuester.
he's an awful character.
I
He's
love him. I love him.
Well,
Yeah.
So one person you did not mention, Nate, that also played in Glee, Jesse, the
Jonathan
actor
Groff.
that plays Jesse, also plays the king in
in Hamilton.
Hamilton. Did you
Yep,
mention him?
Jonathan Groff.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
mention the king, but I mentioned Jonathan Groff.
So
He was
Okay, I didn't.
yeah.
I don't know actors' names. I don't remember them.
Nate, I gotta say, it's pretty impressive that you do remember the names. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I
I
think,
try my best.
yeah.
Throw me
Something that,
Marvel actors, I'll get them.
something that popped into my head that we should probably finish with today is, I know I personally have trouble with this. How do you keep track of your shows and when the new seasons come out? What are you using? I mean, like you told me the 100 came out. I'm just looking here on my, I don't see it.
I just hope that Netflix shows me. Like every so often, I go check. Has season 2 of Lock and Key come out? Nah, still hasn't. Waiting on that.
I think I wait for it to
Yeah.
show up in my feed on
Yeah,
Netflix.
I wait up and it says new season. I'm like, oh,
So you wait,
I
you look in your continue watching
I
or your list?
it after you finish a show and it hasn't updated, it'll go to like, want to watch it again. Then it'll come back up into your recommended, like suggested for you.
Gotcha.
so if I'm watching a show, I always rate it so they know that I like that show. So that also keeps you updated. Netflix on my phone sends me notifications of when some of my shows are coming out with new seasons. That, and I always keep everything I've ever watched stays in my list. So I scroll through my list to see if there's anything new coming out or if they're over or if I want to watch again. I just keep an eye on my list.
Gotcha. I unfortunately cross over from Netflix to Prime to Hulu, and
Mhm.
sometimes, I lose track. Like *Handmaid's Tale* is a popular Hulu,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Man of the High Castle on
Yeah.
Amazon. Yeah, you do. You lose track of them.
Yeah, and so you do lose track. But so there's right now, great business idea, keeping track of your watching habits. There's a new
Yeah,
app for somebody.
There should be
Yeah.
like on YouTube how you subscribe and you can click the bell and it'll give you notifications. There should be that for Netflix.
Yeah.
and others.
There should. Netflix
Yes.
notifications. Well, it's been a great show. Riley, why don't you take us home here?
Thanks for tuning in to Where You Watching again this week and joining us. You can join us again next week I'm Riley Shaw, and I'm here with.
Nate Slauson.
Mrs. Lawson.
Future Hall of Famer, Mr. Horton. It's been awesome, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.